Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to the BNS channel. My name's EdieAnne, and I want to talk about the holidays because they're coming. All right, so I want to give you some tips and tricks about surviving the holidays as a bariatric patient. A lot of these tips actually would work really well whether you're a bariatric patient or not. In other words, if you haven't had weight loss surgery and you're just trying to maintain or lose or just have a good lifestyle, then some of these tips are going to work for you too. Holidays are tough, right? No matter what your background is, holidays are tough because they are so food focused. So if you struggle with food, whether it's an addiction of carbs or sugar, or you do binge eating, or you just can't stay away from the sweets or the chips and the dip or whatever, it's so hard. You know, I always compare it to, I quit smoking about 4 years ago. And I find that quitting smoking is so much easier than what I'm dealing with now when it comes to food, because when you quit smoking, you eliminate it from your life. You can't eliminate food from your life. That's just, it's impossible. So it becomes a lifestyle change that you need to make, a mindset change that you need to make. And that's why I always tell people, diets to me don't work. If you incorporate a specific diet into your life and maintain it for life because you've made a lifestyle change, then that's fine, and a diet would work. But most diets are a time frame or a certain amount of food or a certain type of food, and it doesn't become a lifestyle change that can be held on to for life. So that's why I always say diets are tough. They're tough. They might work for a little bit, but if you don't incorporate them into your lifestyle, they're probably not going to work for long, right? So here are just a few tips that I wanted to share with you to survive the holiday while we are surrounded by food. I want to make sure that you are understanding too that these are not just things, you know, we're creating healthy changes that are going to last. That's what our goal is as a bariatric patient or a person in general, right? We want to have healthy choice lifestyle changes so that we can either maintain, lose, gain if you're in that spectrum. You know, and the holiday seasons can really wreck with us when it comes to those lifestyle changes, because we get tempted. We are inundated with delicious scents. We hear about it, we see it, we smell it, and God forbid, in some cases, we taste it because it ends up in our mouth, right? So tip number one, if you are going to a gathering, if you're going to go with your family, if you're going to go to a party, eat before you go. That way you have control over what you're eating, how much you're eating, and when you get there, you're really not going to be all that hungry. So grazing and snacking and picking is not going to be as likely to happen. It'll be much easier for you to sustain or I don't know the word I'm looking for, to not have those foods if you're not hungry. You know, they always tell you don't go grocery shopping when you're hungry because you tend to put stuff in your cart that you don't need because you're hungry, right? So eat before you go, right? So that's tip number one. Tip number two, when you get there, okay, let's say you're, again, a gathering, a party, this is what we're talking about, right? This is what happens at the holidays. We get together, there's always food somewhere, there's a food table, sometimes people are bringing food to you. Survey your options. Go around and look at the food and decide ahead of time the things that you can eat. If you are seeing chips and dip and crackers and cheese, and you see fruit and vegetable platters, then I would say that you're probably going to go towards the fruit and vegetable platters first, right? And as a bariatric patient or a surgery patient, your tummy is smaller anyway. So if you fill up with those things first, again, you're not going to have room for the other things. You're going to be full, so you're not going to be hungry, and you're not going to be tempted to go after those things that you shouldn't be having, okay? So a good tip is to survey the options. Figure out what you can and cannot eat, and make that mindset shift, that decision, that choice of the things that you are going to be able to eat during the evening. That will help you to eliminate the cravings for the other things. And to alleviate making rash decisions. Well, all of a sudden you're standing there, you're talking, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm famished. What is there to eat? And so you grab the first thing that's available. And a lot of times that's chips and dip, or it's those little sausages that are wrapped in a croissant that are being passed around, right? Probably not the best decision to make. Okay, so don't make rash decisions. Survey the options first, decide what you can have. Okay? Don't graze. So avoid the grazing. You know, in the other one, you're surveying your options and you're looking for the types of things that you can eat. If you are setting yourself up for success, you're going to want to start with the meal. And I always tell people, go protein, fiber, good fats, good carbs. That's the order that you should be eating in. And honestly, you probably won't have a lot of room to get to the good carbs, good fat section. You're going to have your protein, your fiber, and in that you may have some good carbs and good fat if you're doing it right, okay? So avoid the grazing by waiting for the meal, if there is one, okay? And using a small plate. When we use a small plate, if we give ourselves a bowl, we're going to want to fill it, because our mind sees absence, space as scarcity, right? And our caveman mentality as a human being is to avoid scarcity so that we don't starve to death, right? Our body doesn't want to starve. If we starve, we die. So there's this thing happening that if you see a bowl and it's fairly empty because you're just putting what you need in there and the rest of it is all space, you get this scarcity mindset that goes into play, and all of a sudden now you're wanting to fill it, okay? So if you get a smaller bowl or a smaller plate, you're going to avoid that scarcity thought, and you're going to make better decisions as to what goes on that plate. So use a smaller plate. The other tip, bring your own food. If you have the ability, if you're going to a family's house or a friend that understands what you're going through, bring your own food with you. Prepare some snack bags with exactly what you know you can eat, or bring a bowl of yogurt with granola, or some leftovers of something that you made previously. Bring it with you. Bring your own food with you. There's no shame in that. People will understand that when you have made such a large decision and choice in your life that you don't want to fail, and the best way to do that is to make sure that you're staying on track. And if you know what you're eating, it's easier to stay on track, right? A lot of times family members will ask you what you can eat. So there may be an option that was already prepared for you at the venue or wherever you're the party, of something that you're going to be able to eat. Okay. Beware of booze. Now, I don't know where this comes from. I just know how I am and where I stand on alcohol. I was not a big alcoholic drinker beforehand. I don't know if you just saw I don't know what that was. It was a very large flying thing. And I hope it stays over there. I hope that showed up on the camera. It went to the front window. I think it was a moth, but it was huge. Oh my God. Okay. So I am a firm believer that alcohol can severely damage all of the efforts that you have put into this process. It can wreak a lot of havoc on your body after the fact. I know that for Roux-en-Y, which is what I had, gastric bypass, alcohol will go directly into your liver and kidneys. And so therefore you, one, will get intoxicated much quicker, but it also can do a lot of damage with your liver, and therefore cause some major problems down the road. Guys, I am not a doctor. My doctor told me to abstain from alcohol for the rest of my life, and I am okay with that. I don't want to jeopardize my health. I don't want to get cirrhosis of the liver because I decided to start drinking. There are people out there that will and do, and that is their choice. But on top of that, booze come with a lot of calories for the most part. And why jeopardize what you've done with that instant gratification of alcohol? I just say abstain from booze. Watch for the booze, because they can carry a big kick, okay? Not just in the inebriation category, but for the caloric category as well, okay? Eggnog is a huge culprit for that, especially around the holidays. Eggnog has super high calories, and it includes the alcohol as well. So I would say X-nay on the eggnog A, okay? Another tip, just avoid the desserts. They're just not gonna do you any good at all. They are going to satisfy an emotional fix that should be fixed some other way. So just avoid the desserts altogether. Go get another strawberry. Go get some more fruit. Last thing to do when you eat, after you've eaten, get into a habit of popping a sugar-free mint in your mouth. Couple things happen. One, you're continuing to keep your mouth busy if your issue is needing that oral fixation. You could also do gum. Gum's probably not the best thing to do after surgery because it fills your pouch with air and can cause dumping, which is never fun, especially after you've eaten. But if you end with a sugar-free mint, the mint actually, it's like going and brushing your teeth. If you don't have the ability to go brush your teeth after you eat, it will help to not want to eat because you've got a nice fresh palate and you're not going to want to, you just don't have that desire to go and eat something. So that is a huge aid for after you eat, and it can give you better breath. It can help the oral fixation. It can keep you from wanting to eat more. And it's just a good habit to get into. Okay. Keep it sugar-free though. All right. The other thing that's not necessarily party driven is that in the holiday season, we tend to get together to do baking. A lot of families do that. A lot of families give out tins of cookies or banana breads or cakes or fruit cakes and that sort of thing. I say participate. Participate in the creation of that if it's something that your family does. Don't not do that because you're not eating it. But I would say that instead of keeping it at your house, have somebody else take it with them to do the deliveries, or deliver them right away. Just don't leave it in the house. Okay. If you leave it in the house, you're going to want to eat it, and that's when you're going to get in trouble. Okay. Or maybe make it somewhere else. Maybe change where you have the baking party, right? If it used to be at your house, maybe you can have it at your sister's or at your daughter's or at your mom's or somewhere else, so that the baking is happening somewhere else. You can still participate in it. You're just not going to be taking it home with you, and maybe it's not in your own home. If it is in your home, have somebody take it with them when they leave. Okay. Those are my tips. Those are my survival tips. I think some of them are pretty helpful. I think the biggest one for me is going to be eating before I go. I tend to do that. We've gone to a couple weddings recently, and that's what I do, is I would eat before I left, and then that way I knew, because a lot of times you get there, you have no idea what you're going to be eating or what the options are going to be. And you don't want to get stuck there not having any options and being starved, right? So bring a protein bar with you, or bring a protein shake with you, or eat before you leave, right? That way you know that you are going to get the sustenance that you need without getting in the starving mode where you're going to end up picking up things and regretting what you eat. Okay? Happy holidays to everybody. I hope that was helpful for you. If you thought it was, then give me a thumbs up. Go ahead and hit the little bell up there so that you can subscribe to my channel and get reminded, or just a notification when I go on again, upload another video. If you have any other tips that you want to share, please put them in the comments below. I would love to see them. I'm sure others would love to see them as well. And thanks again for joining me. Happy holidays.